Oh, by the way, Stu, did you watch the football games yesterday?
I did not. I read some of what happened. I can't believe they flipped a coin to decide the Chiefs versus the Bills game. Is that correct?
Well, I wanted to speak on that real quickly. It was probably one of the best games in the history of pro football. But what had happened was the teams were last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. Each team scored two or three touchdowns apiece. It was unbelievable. Um, but when they flipped that coin, you knew whoever had the ball, who won the coin toss, would likely win because the defenses couldn't stop the other team. So doesn't take away from Mahomes and what he did, but it's a little bit of a shame that they don't have a better way to do overtime.
It's
So,
it's a toughie. I mean, an interesting thing that you have in Thailand with some of the Thai boxing is that if the judges feel that it's tied at the end of the either third or fifth round, they go into a and they do another round. But at that point, it's whichever fighter has the best stamina is going to win regardless. And that's kind of what you see in football. After playing 4 quarters plus overtime, a defense is going to be probably pretty beat. So,
yeah, and it used to be back in the old days, when the Colts and the Giants played in the first sudden death. Offenses weren't as prolific as they are now. So it kind of made sense that you kick the ball off, perhaps, and you'd be expected to stop them. And then you get the ball and it would go from there. But you just knew this wasn't going to be the case yesterday when Kansas City won the toss. So,
yeah.
Anyways, Steve, life's not particularly fair all the time. So I'm not going to dwell on it.
But I got some more sports talk. So,
Let's hear it, Steve.
So John Stockton, who's probably one of my favorite players of all time, his alma mater was Gonzaga. And so he has been suspended as a season ticket holder because he refuses to wear a mask again. And, he has had lots of comments concerning, what, and how it impacts athletes and all these kind of cases of what we call sudden cardiac arrest, which there's always been a history of impacting athletes. But when you see a sharp spike, certain people are going to want to know, why are we seeing such a sharp spike? And I was reminded of, I want to say it was the 2011-2012 NBA season, where you went from 60 games and the next season you went to 88 games or 82 games, excuse me. And all of a sudden, all these point guards and shooting guards kept tearing their ACLs and their MCLs. And that's because they went from playing 60 some games to 80 some. And so that sharp intake of playing more, being more active was enough to see all these injuries happen. But the fans aren't supposed to notice that. They aren't supposed to be worried about that. And so it's the same thing. He is seeing something happening and he is expressing a concern. And
the great Jesuit universities, they were prized for their intellectual curiosity and rigor. And look what they're doing now. He's expressing legitimate concerns. And instead of addressing the concerns or having some sort of Jesuit discussion about it, and what they do is they make him a heretic. I'd be pissed off if I was him.
Yeah, and both of his kids have gone to Gonzaga as well. So it must be sad for the family to feel treated that way when you're probably the top athlete ever to come out of there.
Yeah, Gonzaga royalty.
And so Kareem Abdul-Jabbar says that he feels that Stockton's comments make athletes look like dumb jocks. And I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Kareem. And, he's written lots of interesting books about kind of Black history, going back to the Harlem Renaissance, talking about the First World War. And, he's a mixed bag though. But then at the same time, Hillary Clinton appointed him as a global ambassador. And so 50% of the time, he's going to do something cool. And then the other percent of the time, I'm just going to be embarrassed that he does what he does. Be in a Bruce Lee movie one moment and then hanging out with Hillary Clinton. I mean, Jesus.
Well, John Paxson may have been the smartest basketball player on the court there ever was. But you can hardly say that he's a dumb jock. I mean, that's just absurd. Does Lou Alcindor
the name his mama calls him?
Pardon?
The name his mama calls him?
Yes.
Wait a second. A man has the right to change his name to whatever he wants to change it to. And if a man wants to be called Muhammad Ali, God damn it, this is a free country. You should respect his wishes and call the man Muhammad Ali.
His mama named him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Does he address what John Stockton is saying? They never do. They never address. They just shame you.
Yeah.
Ghost you.
Yeah.
And that's anti-intellectualism, Stu.
And Stockton is also being kind of slammed because he was in a controversial documentary called COVID and the Vaccine, Truth, Lies, and Misconceptions Revealed. So I'm going to play a quick clip of that so people can see Stockton saying his points himself.
A virus cheating us of these opportunities. It's the guys making decisions saying, no, we're too scared. We're going to shut everything down. Sit in your house and be careful. My kids and my grandkids hearing these things and accepting them as truth, and when I know by my significant amount of research that it isn't, and it's very frustrating.
We're going to move on to Australia, the land down under. And Peng Shuai, that name might ring a bell with some people. We discussed how this Chinese athlete had alleged that one of the Chinese Communist Party political officials, who's pretty high up, had been sexually harassing her, forcing her into a relationship. She disappears for a few weeks. She reappears, but no one really feels comfortable that she didn't have like a gun to her head while giving that little confirmation that she still exists. But she really hasn't been seen since then. So some people showed up to the Australian Open and were wearing shirts that said, "Where is Peng Shuai?" And they get stopped by the police and they're told they can't wear a shirt with the political slogan. Now,
of course, who decides what's a political slogan or not?
Exactly. It's not like they're wearing shirts that say, "Make Australia great again" or "Build Australia back better." And they're asking, where is Peng Shuai?
So you'd like her to take the shirt off? Can you just show us the shirt? Yep. Yep. So, what do you suggest she wear? I can't take my shirt off.
Then I have to take that one off you as well, yeah?
Well, yeah, and you can take that off her as well.
Okay.
Yep. They are asking our friend to take her shirt off.
Turn around?
Yes. She's asking her to turn around?
Yes. Turn around, see the message.
The Australian Open does have a rule that there can't be any political slogans. So that is a rule that's part of the condition of entry.
Like, this isn't a political message. This isn't someone saying vote the Liberal Party, vote the Labour Party. They're saying this is a female tennis player who's being persecuted, and Women's Tennis Association has spoken out for her. And they're just simply speaking up what the Women's Tennis Association is saying.
Yeah, I understand.
Where's the political message?
Yes, I understand what you're saying. However, Tennis Australia does set the rules.
Now, this is kind of the gross and seediness of this all. So the Women's Tennis Association said that they were going to pull out of anything having to do with China. However, Tennis Australia has accepted £53 million to have a sponsorship deal with a Chinese distillery. So that's essentially over $100 million. And what we're seeing is China has essentially bought Tennis Australia out, and now they don't have to deal with anyone criticizing them as a result. So it's essentially, it looks like a bribe to me. Now, when we talk about communism, we're talking about the means of production being held by the state. When I see a Chinese distillery company called Liu Zhao, Lao Zhe doing the sponsorship deal, you cannot say that that is not the party itself. That is the party. The party owns the means of production. The party controls everything that is business related. And so that is the government paying off this tennis organization so they don't have to deal with any flack concerning Peng Shuai.
I think you're right, Stu. I mean, the party controls, they have their tentacles everywhere. And even if there is not direct party ownership of some assets, the party can take those assets from anybody anytime they want.
And this was the concern over Hunwei, the Chinese phone company, was that there's no real way for the party not to be involved with that and not to be able to push their own agenda. And so lots of tennis players have come out, like Nicholas Mahut, and they're criticizing the organizers to essentially bowing to China and accepting this in the wake of this whole controversy with Peng Shuai.
When does the Australian Open start, Stu?
So I guess it technically has started now. So it sounds like the protesters they have made 1,000 Peng Shuai, where's Peng Shuai shirts, and they're going to be handing them out to people attending the Australian Open. And it sounds like their goal is for people to get into the arena, not wearing the shirts, and then at some point put all the shirts on at once to make a statement.
Right.
So I hope that is successful and we get to see.
I wonder if their TV ratings and attendance is going to be down because of the politicization of the Australian Open.
I hope so. I think these people need to learn a lesson. I mean,
what they did to Djokovic is criminal.
I mean, this is no joke. I mean, these are people's lives at stake. You know, you take away a man's ability to compete in his sport. You see how other countries like France are now following suit. And so Novak is impacted for the immediate future. And Peng Shuai, we don't even know what's going on with her. I mean, she might be in some prison somewhere because of she spoke out. And you know what was her family impacted? Was her family considered enemies of the state as a result? I mean, this is not a joke. I mean, have some balls, people.
Tell them, Stu.
Okay. But yeah, so that's what's going on in the world of sports today.
All right, Stu. Well, you're on top of it, my man. You are the Jim McKay of podcasting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoy the Ukraine for the immediate future and stay out of trouble.
I will, Stu. I'm going to go around and talk to some ministers and see what people think of Joe Biden and take some notes.
Speaking of, you know what? You know what's probably going to happen to you? Joe's going to say he's not going to send the U.S. troops to Ukraine unless the Ukrainian government locks you up. And then he'll go and he'll brag about it on TV. I bet that's what's going to happen.
And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch.
He would love to lock me up, Stu, but then again, I have these secret weapons, and I'm sure the Ukrainian paramilitary forces could put me to work in defense of their country.
Fair enough. Well, I guess the next episode will come from the front lines.
There you go.
Okay.
Donbass region. All right, Stu, go get them.
See ya.
You don't hear that on MSNBC.